welcome back to the 7th Esports World Championship here in Seoul, South Korea. My name is Reed Rappenfeld, and of course joining me once again is Justin. It's great to be back after our first game of the quarterfinals, our first time seeing China here live on this stage, and they did not disappoint.
No, they did not. They showed a great show, probably one of the better played matches throughout this entire tournament. And Russia, one of the teams that were supposed to be strong coming into this tournament, looking not so great against China at the moment.
Right, one of their biggest strengths, Blorn up in the top lane, really struggled in that matchup. A lot of jungle focus up there to shut him down, a lot of ban focus in there as well, and you could really see that China knew exactly what they were doing, banning out his champion pool, focusing him early, and even though things kind of got a little bit out of hand for the Chinese team with Eka very, very strong in the mid lane for Russia, eventually as the game drew on, that strength just really didn't matter quite as much.
They were picking a very AD carry central team composition, but Vayne didn't have enough time to grow as an individual champion before they had the team fight. So I think that was the biggest factor in the game, how much Mundo impacted the early game better than Elise. So.
Right, we're going to see if that Mundo ban comes out here as he jump into champion picks and bans for game number 2 of our quarterfinal best of 3 here between China and Russia. We're going to get that game up on your screen here in just a second.
So Tristana coming in here for the first ban. It's very, as I mentioned before, there's a very contested AD carry currently in this tournament. Not a target ban for Eka. We saw the solo kill that come out in the mid lane. So.
I'm not sure if necessarily that's. I mean, Eka's got a bunch of other champions he can play there. Diana too, definitely something to watch out for. But banning the Vladimir there, I'm not necessarily sure that's the key to victory, because even though Eka did get ahead, it wasn't really the factor that caused the most struggles there. For Even, he is going to draw that ban, and of course Irelia ban away from Blorn here too. Fiora ban though, nice to see some very reactive bans here coming out from both sides.
Yeah, very adaptive from the last game. Irelia, of course, a strong champion for Blorn, and we saw how much NRS Fiora can do in the last game, winning a matchup that is winning. We see Mundo ban, of course. That is we saw how much impact that he can have on the game, how strong he is also in the previous game. So Jax coming in for the last ban from Team China. Maybe this is Blorn's very strong champion?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much his go-to roster there. Irelia, Jax, and then anything else that's like super carry top lane. Now, not really known for his ribbon necessarily, but he does have some carry opportunities to go for. With the Fiora ban, he may feel comfortable going back to the Gnar, but we should see the Russian team save their last pick for either top lane or mid as they work through the picks and bans.
So Lulu's open, Elise, very good first pick ban. Also, right. Gangplank's available right now, so they could go for the.
Right, I'd expect to see Gangplank be picked here if Even wants to go for that. They could go for the Gangplank Bard combo if they want to. I keep saying Even, and I expect him to, and I keep reading Ever, so that combo worked very well for them. Gangplank banned out in game number 1, focused there, and of course a lot of research put into that ban. Didn't see it this time around, but there it is.
We're now seeing both top and mid being shown here in the first rotation. I'm not sure if that Riven was a good idea because I switched over to Hecarim. It could be utilized as jungle, most likely. We saw Hecarim being used as a top laner in this tournament, but then, as I mentioned before, it has been nerfed this patch.
Right, Vici Gaming's team here as Chinese representatives have a lot of confidence grabbing their carries just right off the bat. So team composition, it'll flesh itself out as you go down the line, but it'll be interesting to see how Russia reacts to this. Now, Irugod's still going on a very comfort champion. To be fair, he's really practiced a lot of like, hey, if Elise is up, go for that just because it has been traditionally very strong. But we'll see if that is another pick that China can work around like they did in game number 1. However, speaking of some strong champions in the current meta, we were actually having a discussion yesterday about the different Ezreal builds as that gets locked in for Eka.
Yeah, Ezreal, patch before this in 5.2 to Guinsoo's Rageblade, Ezreal was super OP, it was very strong. I'm pretty sure, from what I understand, there has been changes to Ezreal Q for the Guinsoo's Rageblade proc.
Right,
in
so
this patch, but so it's not as strong as the previous one. But still, I see a lot of blue Ezreal build coming out of this. In this meta, currently, it can be utilized both mid laner and the ADC. So I'm excited to see what's come out next. We see Corki here, also another champion that can be used in the mid lane. With that.
It's being hovered over at the same time as Kalista, so they might have been thinking about both of those or either one, but in the end it is Kalista that goes through there on Avenger. Now, thanks to some of the marksman changes, we've seen a lot of very diverse changes over some marksmen. Kalista, not necessarily one of the ones that have seen drastic changes to her kit, but also not a champion that we've seen played a whole lot. It's mostly been things like Vayne, Lucian, Caitlyn game thrown in there, of course, over the games yesterday, but it looks like the Lucian pick is what's going to get locked in here by Darker. Not going for the Vayne hyper carry, just looking for a little bit more lane strength.
Yes, and we see now a double AD carry composition with Lulu top lane. So now we can see what kind of a picture that this team is drawing in terms of their team composition. To talk about Team China for a little bit, Kalista, very contested pick in the previous patches, just because of her ability to objective control just with her Ren. So that's very strong in terms of picking dragons, barons, and stuff like that. So, and Darius being hovered over, and it's actually going to get picked right here.
Yeah, it's getting locked in. Blorn going for the Darius pick, and keep in mind this is a Darius into question mark. That could still be, swapping around like maybe the Hecarim into the jungle, the Gangplank mid lane. That would leave top lane open, but it does look like it's going to be Gangplank mid, Hecarim top lane, and this will be a jungle pick saved for last on Vici Gaming. It's the Chinese team here. Teacher, what's he going to lock in for Destron? Gragas possibly.
Gragas possibly. A lot of options here. There's Rek'Sai open, there's Kindred open, but they're probably looking for more tankier jungler, I guess, in this situation with more utility. So they're trying to go with Gragas. And he picks fine here with Elise being gone already. So, but
this is where you pick the Sejuani jungle, set up for like a Glacial Prison right to Gangplank Barrel. That's that combo I like to see. However, Sejuani, not really a champion that used to be actually pretty good.
Yeah, but had nerfed to her champion itself and Cinderhold, so that's what
really
brought down the meta.
Hard.
But it's really exciting to see Lulu utilized as a support for the first time in this tournament.
Right, I think we were both expecting that to go up to the top lane for Blorn, but he's picking this is a very Blorn champion if you've gotten a chance to watch a lot of his games. He just picks a lane-dominant top laner and then tries to make it work. Now, of course, he is going up against NRF this time around with Hecarim, and this is Ignite Hecarim with Teleport, so he's not going to have the flash mobility, but he is going to have a lot of strength in lane. We saw what a big difference Ignite made mid lane for Ekka in that 1v1 versus even in game 1. Now we might be seeing that same difference up at the top lane. Ignite being played against, no Ignite summoner before.
Yeah, we haven't really seen Darius to come to his full potential at Worlds when everyone thought he was very strong in the meta. He has received nerfs since then, but it's still a very strong champion, a very strong juggernaut. As I mentioned before, Hecarim has also been nerfed. I'm excited to see how this matchup is going to go.
And if China wins this game, then they are through to the semi-finals. Quarterfinal matchup. We're about to get game number 2 underway here in just a second, loading in for China versus Russia, game 2. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, at Game 2, like I said, coming your way here with China, now on the red side, facing off against Russia here, now on the blue, swapping sides. We'll see if they can swap their fates, as Russia did drop game number 1. We'll see if they can come back with some very different picks here. Lulu coming through as the support champion, was banned in game 1, but another champion that was banned in game 1 that made it through is Gangplank there for even.
Yeah, Gangplank, once he hits level 6, especially in the mid lane, can synergize a lot of ganks and dives with his ult after level 6. So that's one of the biggest potential that's coming out of this mid lane matchup right now. Another thing I want to talk about is this top lane matchup versus Hecarim versus Darius. Darius, of course, a very strong champion, is probably going to win this matchup in general. But then, when it comes to teleport meta, well, I want to talk about this thing called immediate teleport impact. It's like how much impact can you do in the short period of time that when you TP right away. And compared to Darius, Hecarim has a higher impact when he TPs just because of his high mobility and his ult to immediately dive that backline. And also pair that with Gangplank ult, can see a lot of big fights happening in the bot lane. So that's what I'm trying to look for in this game.
Now, keeping an eye on that early jungle invade, we saw the same situation in game number 1, pretty much an exact mirror there by China. This is the same start to their game that they did in every single one of their games yesterday. At least I got mixed results from one game, but for the most part, that's the invade that they like to do. Just invade, get that lane swap ward so that they can check and see exactly what they're going up against early on. But this mid lane matchup is actually going to be pretty interesting because, I mean, if you get harassed down too much by Gangplank, that can be a little bit difficult. However, mana is a difficult stat to get in the mid lane. You're actually seeing even start with a Sapphire Crystal just to make sure he has enough of it.
Yeah, probably trying to build it into that Sheen really fast, but it's going to be a very hard matchup for Gangplank just in general. How Ezreal mid does very well against melee champions.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, mana is not a combat stat. You run into lane with 400 or 500 gold spent on mana, and you're just like, well, let me just hit you with this Sapphire Crystal, which in real life may actually hurt. Never been hit by a Sapphire Crystal, but in lane, not going to be giving you any combat stats. Will allow for a few more Qs to come out there. But it's not mana regen like you'd see from things like, I don't know, Fairy Charms. But it is going to build into that Sheen, like you said, so that'll be a big power spike. See what happens when Even gets to have a top lane. We got some action going on here as this Strahd comes top lane, forces the flash, immediate flash for the knock up there, and Blorn, he's not making it out of this one. First blood goes to Rek'Sai.
Yeah, he had to flash out of there. He had to flash over trying to get Rek'Sai, but Rek'Sai already had flash, and the knockup was going to happen. Ignite already being used. He was going down no matter what in that gank.
And he didn't even yell Timber, even though he knew it was already going down. Man, this guy would not make a good international Mr. Worldwide. But this is a worldwide tournament, so maybe I guess that counts for that.
Maybe.
Mid lane, we've got Echo with tons of mana, not a whole lot of health. We'll see if maybe Rek'Sai takes a trip up there, or down there, considering he's on the top half of the map. Yeah, but it's been actually interesting to see the way, oh wow, Arcane shifting forward. A lot of damage here by Eka, and it should be noticed that Eka is running maybe a little bit more hybrid. He's not spec'd into any ability power, but we should still see that Gwynsu's Rage Blade built out. Or do you think we're going to be seeing more of a Trinity Force Ezreal build?
We're probably going to see, not Gwynsu's, but probably a blue Ezreal build from the back in the days. Trying to build it and build here, and then try to build that into a Manamune, and then trying to get the Frozen Gauntlet.
Now look at what NRF is doing. He's going into the jungle, placing a deep ward, pinging out. It's like, hey, we got this vision. And vision control has been something that the Chinese team has been really great at. And you can see it paying off right there. They're going to scout Irrigat as he makes his way up towards the top half of the map. Deathstron's on the other side of the world for all intents and purposes. Knows that he can't get within range of that minion wave, so probably waiting for Teacher to plan his engage. Still waiting. This is what I like to call the hotshot gank. If you remember when he used to play jungle, he was just like, he'd pick a lane and he'd go sit in that lane for as long as he possibly could. There's the engage there. Faceless will be, or Fearless rather, will be forced to flash away there. Faceless being fearless, and now Darker forward, still taking a lot of that damage. I'm not sure what Faceless was really expecting to happen there. He's like, okay, well, I'm supporting my AD carry. My AD carry's up there taking a ton of damage, and I don't really have any spells up, so maybe needed some extra synergy there, but a gank avoided, still a big win in that matchup.
A nice all-in coming in from Alistar. The burned Ignite on the way, but no, only Flash was blown for Faceless, so Darker's still holding on to both of his summoners, so this lane is still very even, but that was a very good trade coming in from bot lane from TrinityWorld.
So TrinityWorld, they're I guess up as far as positioning in lane, but I'm not sure even if they can go for this dive on NRF. They've pushed in their top lane, they've pushed in their mid lane, but bottom lane still a kind of a point of struggle here. Darker and Faceless pretty shoved under their bottom turret.
Looks like we might see another gank here if they extend it even a little bit.
Man. Darker he's got bait written all over his forehead, and there's the headbutt, the pulverize, and oh, nice flash out from Darker. Faceless in a little bit of a rough spot, Summoner heal being used, and there comes the Gangplank ult. It's gonna find 1 kill. Darker, fortunate enough to survive, but perfect usage there by Even. He's like, yeah, I want that kill.
You know, a little bit later than I expected. Maybe he just hit level 6, but that was the biggest thing I was expecting coming into this game, is that 4v2 synergy in that bot lane when Gangplank hits level 6. That ult is very strong, and they're able to dive that properly and get that kill.
Yeah, really well played. Kind of window shopping there for Even. He's like, hey, what's that? A 2 HP champion? Let me just go ahead and drop a quick ult real fast. Grabs himself that kill, and he does have Sheen as his first item built out of that Sapphire Crystal. You can already see that paying off in lane. He's able to come back from a little bit of a CS deficit that he started to develop early, but here comes Destron. He's right on top of Eka. There's the Arcane Shift. No real damage onto Eka, but he is forced to run backwards in the lane. Does have a wave of minions to kill him.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have had to flash if he was running something like Heal, but he's actually running Ignite on this Ezreal for more kill potential, but he always does have that Arcane Shift. It's really hard to gank this lane in general if you're running an Ezreal mid, so very nice gank coming in from Destron once.
Now it'll be interesting to see how this transpires as far as his build's concerned. I was expecting the tier first. He went for a long sword instead. There's the Arcane Shift. Oh no, Eka. Headbutt, the pulverize. And NRF just slides on in there for the kill. To be fair, Even did get dropped very, very low by Ignite there, but unable to pick that one up. Spider coming in, but he's not going to steal that away. Urgot's running away, no mana, but that Arcane Shift made that gank a little too easy for the mid lane.
Yeah, Gangplank a champion that is has a harder mid to
oh my god, game. Darker, no way to get out of that. Knockup into knockup. Yeah, he's not even running cleanse. He couldn't get out of that even if he had a way to. Just knockups chain perfectly. China picks up their 4th kill of the game.
Yeah, very strong showing from Team China overall. Continuation from the previous match. They're getting leads where they need to, and they're doing things perfectly, diving very well, not having any death at this moment, and taking the strategy. So it's that you see that objective control coming in from Kalista. Very nicely done.
And with this first dragon being secured there by Vici Gaming's Chinese representatives, the extra damage is going to be pretty exciting to watch there, especially for Gangplank, who's now completed more extra damage for himself. That Zeal on top of a Sheen, just so much damage. It's like, hey, what if you made a champion who's like real damage ability is like super strong, and then you gave him like ridiculous amounts of gold generation so that he could get even stronger there, and then, you know, Dragon comes out to give him even more combat stats, and it's gonna be even better for the mid lane.
Hey, Ghostcrawler, are you watching this?
It's a pretty good champion. He has actually been very strong for very long over several patches. Even here in the preseason, so many changes, but sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same. A little bit of revenge here on the jungle. The Uruguay running deep in there for the invade. However, Destron's just like, hey, anything you can do, I can do better. Invades by himself, doesn't even need the mid laner. What is Russia doing here? They're on a secret agent mission. They need to play some Mission Impossible music.
They do have deep wards in the top side red jungle of the Team China VG right now, but I don't think those wards are very helpful at this moment, where all the lanes are pretty much even in terms of tower differential. So.
Interesting spot for NRF to be in, but he is so fast that actually, whoa, he's just going to turn back in onto Eka, and there's the Gangplank ult from Eva to take him down. Born trying to find himself a kill there, goes for the ult, gets the kill for a turnaround, but does have to be kind of careful he doesn't die to that Gangplank ult. A nice 1-for-1, and that does put Russia on the board with their first kill of the game.
Yeah, I feel like NRF could have gotten that double kill if he was fighting in that Gangplank ult, but chose to just walk outside just a little bit. But, you know, there's still good ult coming out from Even right there. He's utilizing his Gangplank ult very well, synergizing with his team very well, so already 2 kills for him, and this is a champion like I always wanted to talk about. Has a very hard early and mid game, but once he hits that Triforce power spike, he's very strong.
Yeah, actually ridiculous. We actually saw the same situation in our broadcasted game from Russia yesterday when Blorn hit his Trinity Force. Power Spike, he teleported bottom lane into a wave of minions, and then Blade Surge one-shot the enemy support. It's like, hey, Trinity Force Power Spike, it's pretty good. So we'll be seeing that come out right about now as Even completes that. It's his only item other than those biscuits, but I think it's the only one he really needs at this point. Very, very strong, and just great synergy. Really strong team fighting here by Vici Gaming's Chinese team. The biggest thing that I was sort of question marking for myself for China is, can they play together? We already knew they were strong individually, but man, they are really coming together, and it's very difficult for Rush to deal with.
Yeah, team communication very strong. We see a TP coming in here from Gangplank.
Big CC there by Teacher. He's going to throw his ult on. He is basically invincible. So is Destron, and Eka just cannot run far enough. Darker's got a nice culling there to come in from the backside, but I'm not sure if he really has enough damage to be a threat there in that fight. Meanwhile, Irugat, he's on a secret agent mission of his own. Teacher's going to go ahead, do the utmost to pick up that kill. Did have to flash for it, but I mean, it's definitely worth it to kill the spider before she gets executed, and you got to give the support some kills too.
Yeah, of course, bloodthirsty support. It's 104 now, and Kalista did manage to deal a little bit of damage, but just not enough to kill that Elise. Very reactive teleport coming in from Gangplank right there, so that was also very great. But Ezreal was already there, has a higher roaming potential in general, but this lane though right now, 30 CS difference, but I feel like Hyperim had an overall more impact on this game at this point. Right,
it's about individual strength versus the impact that you make for your team there. NRF, he's been roaming down, he had that nice kill in the mid lane after a cool roam there, but he's actually been struggling in the 1v1, so like we said, Florin likes to pick that lane dominant champion. Irugat's going to get Gangplank ulted, and Destron wants to go in for that, but isn't going to be able to follow through that Gangplank ult.
Yeah, no turrets are down, but it seems like Team BG has complete control over the other side.
Stole that one, so nice to grab himself a Raptor, and he's going to get the CS a turret too.
So I guess not complete control, but somewhat of a control.
Right as you're like, hey man, they got this lockdown. Eka's like, give me that Raptor. Able to take that one away. So a moral victory, if not an actual one. We'll see what Eka can do with that. You're going to be seeing double Essence Reavers completed there, both for Darker and Eka. But I mean, those are items that get stronger with more itemization that you pile on top of them, not necessarily power spikes like we're seeing from that Trinity Force. And first item, Runan's Hurricane for Avenger.
Yeah, we've seen previously in previous patches Kalista go for that blade, but since the nerfs, we've seen them rush Runan's Hurricane, the first item most of the time, so yeah, standard build.
Hurricane, decent change there, is able to come in there. Oh, Ignite being put down there by NRF. Lauren should die for this, but he's going to take the turret with him, trades his life there for that turret kill, loses a little bit of an advantage, but is going to make that up in objectives.
Yeah, so he decided that getting that top lane turret, the first turret in this game actually, is more important than dying to a Hecarim who's 40 CS down. So he didn't, in terms of the match, he didn't lose a lot, but he did gain turrets, and that may be the opening that TrinityWorld needs in this game right now, since we just saw Flash coming out from Eka. Losing that trade in the mid lane, very hard to deal with against Gangplank with Trinity Force and a BF sword doing tons of damage.
Yeah, as Trinity Forces are wont to do. 3-0 there on that Gangplank mid. That is really the big upset match. You look at all of the matchups there for China, they are destroying that mid lane. Not quite 100 CS, so the Flame Horizon is still out there, but it's absolutely devastating. Trinity Force now a BF sword on top of that, probably looking for Infinity Edges. I pluralize that because a lot of Gangplanks do go for two of them, but yeah. Probably won't see that. Oh, the Ezreal ult coming in, almost able to steal that dragon away. Pretty well timed, but not well enough.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Eka's going for here right now in terms of his item build. It's one of the more unique Ezreal, mid-Ezreal item builds I've seen, even compared with that Ignite, so.
It should be like your blue Ezreal build, but if you're going to build Essence Reaver, you want to stack more crit on top of that. So it might be a Trinity Force to follow after that, but still hasn't even completed the Essence Reaver, so we got to answer that question first.
Yeah.
Here comes in Destron. He's able to use his ult offensively, get right into there to the fight. Eka's in a little bit of rough spot. He's going to use that. He's going to have that Chilling Smite used on him, trying to run away. He's not going to get that Arcane Shift back up in time, and Destron is able to take him out.
Gangplank doing tons of damage, and they're again synergizing their skill compositions very well, their kits very well. And here another death for Bjorn.
He's in a little bit of trouble. He will heal off of Alistar, but not enough cooldowns there from Alistar to...
Yeah, but this top turret's going down, and so is this mid lane turret. We see even doing this a lot. He did this previous game. He's pushing that tier 2 turret in the mid lane just alone with no contest whatsoever from TrinityWorld, so...
Yeah, very, very difficult game, especially for the mid lane. And for Russia in general, this time they do find their strength back up top, but it's just not what they needed in time. Darius is super good if he's able to abuse his lane matchup, but outside of that, when it comes down to team fights, unless he's going to get those balls pentakills, I don't know if he's really going to be able to turn this one around like his team needs him to. Got a little bit of an engagement there. Destron up in the front lines. A nice dive in there by NRF. Faceless in a little bit of a struggle, but now NRF has to get back to this fight. Lauren, though, he's just getting knocked around as much as he wants to. Something tells me Gangplank, as soon as he gets his Q back up, he's looking for the kill. Lauren having to run straight away, but there's a Chilling Smite, and they're trying to get this one to Even, and Even will pick it up there off the Parlay, which is somewhat ironic considering that Parlay, he's making peace and he's using it to kill someone. So
it's actually Parlay, so it might have a different meaning.
Unstoppable. While we're talking about Parlay, he's making peace with yet another kill now. 12-2. China are not playing around. Well, I guess they are playing this game, but they are certainly doing it very, very cool, calm, calculated. A lot of those C words that mean they are confident in their play. 12-2, certainly indicative of that.
Yeah, so the team fight seemed like Destron once was getting caught out in the opposing jungle, but the NRF and all the rest of the team members were able to collapse way faster. And just at this point where there's this much goal differential, it's very hard to come back, even in a team fight where you're supposed to win.
I think we learned one thing. It's that TrinityWorld are pretty good at securing their jungle camps. Ezreal able to steal away a wolf there, also able to steal away a raptor earlier. It's like, oh, hey, you got to get your little advantages while you can. Faceless, it's all he can do to clear out that Banshee as it roams out through the upper river. But speaking of upper river, this Rift Herald is going to turn into Baron here in a couple of minutes, and we might see one, if not both of those, go over to Vici's team here. They are able to position correctly for it. But speaking of positioning, TrinityWorld's got to get back to base.
Yeah, we're 18 minutes in. Oh, we might hear Sia. Actually, no, the barrels were missed. I thought we might see a solo kill here, right here. Gangplank again, 501, very strong.
We've got Even versus Blorn. Now, Teleport should be able to turn this matchup around, and you can see there it is. If Blorn's actually going to try to teleport away, but he gets it canceled right in the face of Destron. It wasn't a teleport coming in, it was Rek'Sai, and that 3v1 is not going to go in Blorn's favor.
So close, but not enough. He saw that Rek'Sai coming in. Maybe he thought he has enough time before Rek'Sai can knock him up.
Oh no, Irugod actually might be able to turn this one around. Avenger taking a lot of damage, but he does have that Fate's Call. Eka in a little bit of a rough spot there. Gonna get turned around, gonna get the knockup. Avenger still alive, off to the back, but it's Even going godlike with his 8th kill of the game. A double kill picked up there, and Even is a monster.
Yeah, TrinityWorld trying their best, trying to find openings to this game. They know the enemies in their jungle. Team China, Vici is not being very careful in terms of their positioning in the enemy side jungle, but it doesn't matter at this point because they do so much damage. There's a 10k, 15k goal differential in under 20 minutes. This game seems almost over.
Yeah, 20 minutes. You can't even surrender yet. China is absolutely crushing down bottom lane, top lane, every single place around the map there. Even Blorn is going to get ulted on. He's probably going to go down. Doesn't even get 2 points off the dunk there. And as top lane goes down, bottom lane's also going to have its inhibitor taken. I guess top lane inhibitor is still available, but Darker, we'll see how long he can hold that top up.
Yeah, and then we're actually seeing that Flame Horizon right now. 204 CS for Gangplank and 90 from Ezreal.
Gosh, Even, you start to realize why Gangplank was banned in game number 1. It has been a champion that Even has been extremely strong with over the course of not just this tournament. I haven't seen him play elsewhere, but you can see immediately the first ban there in game number 1. Even Russia knew that they had to take that away from Even. Didn't do so in game 2. Now here we are.
Champions like Gangplank rise with weak early game, but very strong late game. You have to try to put that into your calculation with the early game jungle path and try to impact that lane. And with also Eka, who has a lot of damage with that ignite, but Gangplank didn't die, and he managed to pick up a lot of kills once he hit that level 6. Got a lot of assists off of that, snowball that into a huge lead. Now he's a monster that cannot be dealt with.
Well, speaking of monsters, when you got a lot of them piling into your lane, Lauren is in a little bit of a struggle. We'll see if he can maybe try to turn this into something, but yeah, 4v1s, 5v1s, even as Avengers coming up there. It's like, hey guys, I want in on the action.
And solo queue, this is where he yelled, is like, really, you needed 4 people for that?
It's like, come on, where's the 1v1?
I guess they were trying to get Baron, but you know, just Lauren was in the way of that Baron.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, they could have probably bypassed Lauren and went straight to the Baron. Oh, wow, the face call being used. There's the flash, the pulverize. Eka actually thrown back towards the Baron and even going legendary with his 10th kill of the game now. It's beyond godlike. This performance, absolutely ridiculous. And you can really see why he is so strong on that champion.
And Darker getting chunked out by inhibitor minions. We see a teleport coming here.
Oh, my gosh. Darker can't even run away from it. The express train from downtown.
This is what Tekram used to do before the patches, and like you mentioned yesterday, the 20-minute home guard being utilized here very effectively, I think.
There's another home guard coming in as even TPs into the base. Oh my gosh, 1,000 damage crits off of those parlays. Absolutely ludicrous. And you're going to see Even look for another Q off that crit, and he's going to go in and get that kill. NRF just diving the fountain here is he's probably not dead. Able to get away there. The Nexus, however, not quite so lucky. And it's going to be China taking a 2-0 victory over Russia and advancing to the quarterfinals. Semifinals there. Had to make sure I was in the right part of the tournament. A 22-2 victory there for China. An absolute domination. Incredibly excited to see how far this team can go in the tournament. Might be able to give Korea a run for their money as they will be playing as well. However, that's going to do it for our first best of 3. So coming up next, you guys don't want to miss it. We've got Israel versus Switzerland coming up next as the 7th Esports World Championships continue in a minute.